Folks, it's back here on Jar the Boss Man Show. It's time for our weekly segments with Dr. Vernette, but she's going to be here for a whole hour today. 4 segments for you. This is the Dr. V Hour on the Bossman Radio Network, obviously. And we're going to have her today talk to you all about, first of all, healthy eating habits in summertime. People want to get fine. People want to start having barbecues and start eating varsity if they shouldn't eat the varsity at all. Waffle House or go out to eat. Go to J. Alexander's or, Taco Mac maybe. Go to like a place like that. They want to eat. But how can you eat healthy there? Dr. V may have something for you on this. I'm going to turn it over to her to talk to you about healthy eating habits here on the Boss Man Show. What's up, Dr. Vernette? How you doing?
I'm good. How are you, JR?
I'm wonderful, on the road as usual.
Always. So like you said earlier, we're going to talk about exploring what healthy eating habits are, and that includes, basics of how to grocery shop, behavioral modifications that we can incorporate into our lives, and then also just some basic information of how to create that type of transition to make a healthier lifestyle for yourself in regards to eating. So a lot of people talk about weight loss and weight management, right? So whether you're looking to lose weight or to gain a little bit of weight for the purpose of, a leaner body, more muscle, stuff like that, really, and that's under the umbrella of weight management. The most common topic that I find people talk about nowadays is weight loss, and how do we change the way that we eat, or how do we change our behaviors to be able to be successful in weight loss. So a lot of times what I tell people who reach out to me about this topic is 80% of the change in your body. And it's not just weight, it's how your psyche is operating, how your organs are functioning, and how your body moves within space and stuff like that, all has to do with what you put inside of your body. So it's valid to say that how you eat will be maybe close to 80% of what type of changes you'll see aesthetically within your body, but then also the healthiness of your body. So let's dive into it. We'll talk about 10 habits. I think that's pretty simple and easy to remember. 10 habits that can help you lose weight, since that's the most common topic that our society talks about. So when you look at weight control, right? When you look at weight control, you're looking at what type of small changes can you make within your lifestyle that will help to create healthy habits. And so the first thing that I'd like to talk about is evaluating what your eating habits are. I like to do a journal, and those who ask for my opinion about it, which I'm not a nutritionist. I am in the health and wellness field, and I do have over 15 years of experience. But I come from a place of personal opinion, but then also what I've learned along the way with the credentials that I've earned educationally. So one common theme is, how am I even eating? Where do I even start? And that's a great evaluation process. It's an assessment, right? You're assessing what are you even putting in your body, if you're putting anything in your body. I say that because I find that people usually skip breakfast. And I'm kind of traditional. Now, you have different trends and fads that our society will put out, how to lose weight in 10 days, or how to lose weight in 30 days, that type of thing, right? I'm sure you've seen those billboards. But realistically, you don't want to shock your body into what you essentially would consider it to be starvation, right? So you'll lose a huge amount of weight initially, right? If you're looking at those fad diets. And a lot of people think that you are, losing the weight that you need to lose. But honestly, that's kind of the excess weight, which you would probably, if you could compare it, right, scientifically, it may be water weight. or weight that's just kind of been carried on your body that really is easy to be relieved. But how can we sustain the healthy eating habits? And that's what assessment comes in, right? You want to assess yourself. So assess, when are you eating during the day? What's the amount? Would you say that you have, a good amount of proteins that you're putting in your body, a good amount of fats, a good amount of carbohydrates, and seeing kind of what that looks like, right? And I would say probably start with a journal. That would be good. So that way you can see, okay, this is what I'm putting in my body, and these are kind of the changes that I need to make. So I like to ask people, are you eating late at night? Are you finishing your kids' meals or your friends' meals, right? Are you snacking throughout the day? What are you snacking on? Are you a sweet person? Okay, what type of pastries do you like? Are you a salt person? How much sodium are you taking in? So that's where I would start, is the assessment process. The next thing is the whole concept of, if you fail to plan, then you're planning to fail. And really, you can use that quote in any situation. But we're talking about eating habits, right? We're talking about eating habits. So if we're looking at it from that standpoint, planning your meals, right? So the feedback that I typically get, which includes myself when I first started to change my eating habits, is I don't have time. I don't have time to cook all of this stuff and plan out my meals. I've got so much going on, which I can understand. We live in a society that's go, 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 go. Fast food is literally like, a 3-minute process. You get your food and you're done. But, what type of investment are you making in your body with those type of choices of going through fast food? Whereas you can kind of have the fast food mentality if you're preparing your food, reserve a day like a Sunday or a Saturday, whatever your off day is, your most relaxation day, and, cooking a large portion of a protein. So if you're eating chicken or, a steak or fish, if you're more so on the vegan side and or on the vegetarian side, you can cook other proteins or provide other proteins, for that source rather than the meat. And then cooking some vegetables that complement the protein source, and then some, the vegetables are the carbohydrates or the carbs, right? And then maybe some grains in there, if your body responds good to grains. So whole grains or quinoa, those are my two go-tos. Again, if your body responds well to that. But it can provide a fast food concept if you're really just planning ahead, right? You take that day, you reserve that day, you say, okay, what do I want for the week? You go grocery shopping. We'll talk about that a little bit later if we have time. But you go grocery shopping, you plan that day to cook, and then you pack your meals, right? You get Tupperware and pack it all in there. Portion control, right?
Very much so. Portion control.
Yeah. Yeah. And then it's also a visual thing, right? So if you've got portion control, you know exactly how much is supposed to fit in this small Tupperware. It's like a sandwich size Tupperware container. And so then you stack all your meals up for the week. You store it in the refrigerator, and then, day one, you take it out, you pack your lunch, and you go. You warm it up for, 2-3 minutes? It's hot. That is your fast food, right? It's just putting the preliminary steps into place to make sure that you're planning ahead for your whole week. And that can really not only save you money, but also save the weight that you're going to gain from whatever fast food that you decide to go to. Okay. So the next thing is, so that's the planning part of it, right? The next thing that I would say is when we're going into the grocery shopping, shop on a full belly. Don't go in that grocery store and you're starving. And you're like, okay, I gotta get this. When you're starving, you're irritable. Some people respond differently, right? They get hangry. So you're hangry in there. You're irritable. You're gonna pick something that is going to that you can snack on while you're shopping. That probably is not the best. But you also want to have clarity in what you're shopping, and then coming prepared with a list. I'm not really big on detailed lists, but I do like a structure of where I'm going. Okay, so if I need to replace some things that are in my pantry, replace some things that are in my refrigerator versus my freezer, having a general list of the things that I need to get will help you stay on track. And then also, since we're talking about the grocery shopping, stay on the outskirts of the grocery store. When you're starting to get into the aisles, unless you're getting supplements or you're getting some type of what would you call it, seasoning or something like that, some pastas maybe, I would stay on the outskirts of the grocery store, right? Because you're going to have the fruits, you're going to have your veggies, you're going to have your dairy, your meat products. So all that stuff's going to be on the outskirts of the store, and it's going to help you not to be attracted to the more, what would you call it, the preservatives. The preservatives.
Yes.
Yeah, you won't be tempted to go into where you're getting the chips and you're getting the candy and you're getting, things that can be stored. The shelf life is longer. Usually when the shelf life is longer, it's going to be less healthy for you. That's the general concept. So, take that into consideration when you do go shopping. The other thing is eat regular meals, right? So having a conversation with yourself to say, okay, I'm mapping out my day, which has to do with time management, which we'll talk about on a whole nother segment of time management. When you're looking at eating your meals regularly, making sure that you're having 5 to 6 meals throughout the day, that's going to continue to keep your metabolic rate up, which helps you to burn off the fat that's unwanted in your body, but then also to be able to replenish some things that that you need in order to function optimally. Okay, so figure out what that looks like so that we're not binge eating, right? If we skip breakfast or we skip lunch, then usually you're going to want to double up on what you've already made.
Double up,
right? But you talked about portion control, right? We talked about portion control. So that's going to help us with our portion control, staying on track if we're able to eat regular meals throughout the day. The next thing that I would say, which would be our 5th habit that we can create that's healthy in regards to eating, is eat your food sitting down and from a plate, right? When I talked about being on the go, usually I'll be stuck in traffic, and I'm guilty of this. So don't get me wrong, I'm not perfect in this, but I will say that I do this less. I see people eating in the car. I see them eating while they're texting or while they're driving or while they're doing something else.
No eating in my car.
No eating in your car.
I don't want ants in my car or crumbs in my floor.
Well, I mean, hey, if that rule is in place for you, that makes it so much easier to be able to sit down and be still and, be present while you're eating, right? Because there's so many different mechanoreceptors that are firing and neurons that are firing. This is kind of more of the scientific talk. But there's so many things that are going on a microscopic level within your body when you do eat the food. You're placing the food inside of your mouth. Your teeth are chewing it. Your tongue is meant to move the food around so that way you can really start to decrease the size of the food so that way it can fit down your throat, your esophagus, and then it goes down to your stomach. And your stomach has a specific process before it moves into your small intestine. That has a process. Then it moves into your large intestine or your colon. And then from there, you excrete it out of your body, right? So there's a whole process that happens.
That's the process.
That is the process, right, of digestion. But if we're wolfing down all this food, we're skipping the essential steps to even allow our body to gain the basic
fast
nutrients
track
that
to
we
that
need.
explosion.
Right? So you don't want to skip that. So sitting down and preparing to eat gets you in a position to make sure that you're eating the proper amount of food, that you're chewing up all of your food, and that you're consciously eating and enjoying the meal versus, okay, I gotta eat this before 5 o'clock meeting, or I got 10 minutes, get this down. Like, it's like go. But we should really kind of be still and present when it's time to eat. We really should be present in everything that we do. That's a different topic, right? But if we're talking about sitting down and being intentional about the food that we're eating, we're much more able to have an enjoyable experience with the food that we're eating. We're investing in our bodies. It's an opportunity to place a deposit into weight management and weight loss, and making sure that your body's changing for the good. Number 6 would be, serve
Hey,
your
Dr.
food.
V, we better take a break here. I can't get the sponsors mad at me. Gotta take a break.
Go ahead, take your break.
Folks, we're going to be back after the break with Dr. Vernette with step 6, okay? Stay tuned. You're going to commit to the show. Stay tuned for step 6, coming back with you, healthy eating habits after the break.
Hello, my name is Travis Williams, President and CEO of Academics and Athletic Consulting, focusing on educating and empowering tomorrow's collegiate athletic leaders. My passion is for the education and genuine concern and care for today's student athlete. It's the centerpiece of my life's work. A college education, both in and out of the classroom, is a truly rewarding benefit. For more information on AAC, you can go to www.academicsandathleticsconsulting.com. Once again, www.academicsandathleticsconsulting.com. Or you can follow me on Facebook at Academics and Athletic Consulting, or Twitter at Coach TWill24, or Instagram Travis L. Williams 24. Or you can call me at 404-542-6079. Once again, AAC is very proud to partner with J.R. McHenry of the Bossman Radio Show, covering sports and entertainment across the country. Please tune in weekly for informative, entertaining, and expert analysis on today's sports and entertainment topics. Thank you.
Back here on the Bossman Show with Dr. Vernette. Dr. Vernette, before we even get into it, before the jokes come in or the emails come in, yes, we know she has a full belly already. I said the joke for you. You don't have to even send it to me. I did it for you. I know it's coming. Because they going to send me even, she has a full belly already. She's pregnant. Yes, she does. In theory, yes, she does. So before you do it, I did it for you. Now back to Dr. Vernette for her top 10 for you guys. What's up now?
Hey, so we stopped on 6. So let's go into 6. So when you're looking at food portions, the idea is to make sure that you have portion control, which we talked about earlier in the show. So maybe an idea to promote portion control could be serve your food on individual plates and then just leave the extra on the stove. So I'm not saying necessarily, put each individual portion, on a separate plate if that does not work for you. But this is really just options, right? These are suggestions to help create healthier eating habits. So you could take bowls of food on the table to begin, to be eaten, but then all the extra stuff, go ahead and leave that on the stove, leave that in the oven. Of course, the oven's going to be turned off. But that way, you're telling visually, right? Visually, you're telling your body, okay, this is what I'm committing to, right? Versus overeating, okay? And typically, it takes about 20 minutes for your mind to even get the signal that your belly is full. So it helps with having that type of technique to use when you're eating. So number 7 would be eat slowly and try to chew every bite that you have. Savor the moment, savor the taste,
I don't
and
do that,
allow.
Dr. V. I just
Well, you
wolf
don't.
it down.
Well, you don't do that. Well, tell me why you don't do that. Well, hold on now.
Cause I'm on the road. I gotta move. I'm eating, and I gotta go to my next thing. I can eat for a little short window, and I gotta hit my next spot. So
Right. Okay. So, would you be interested in exploring reserving, 10, 20 minutes for you to eat? Right. So, putting it in your schedule, just like you have a schedule where what game you need to cover, what interview you need to cover, and it starts and stops at a specific time, and you're pretty adamant about that, which is brilliant. Can we maybe transition that into the meal planning part just a little bit?
usually I eat at the game or the station I'm at, so it's kind of like I'm eating in between commercial breaks, things of that nature.
Okay, well, even in between commercial breaks isn't bad. You focusing just on the food, or are you doing other stuff?
I'm looking at Twitter, looking at emails, talking to my fans, talking to the people. 'Cause I'm a man of the people, as you know,
You are the man of the people. Okay.
the people's
Well,
host.
the people's host. Okay, I received that. So just planting the seed is probably where we're at right now. Maybe in the future, you'll have some reserve time where you're not, having to overlap different tasks. But I understand that you're busy, you're making it happen, you're a hustler, so that works out. So for number 8, this is a big one. It's a huge one. Don't eat after dinner. Right? A lot of people like to snack, depending on where the snacks are. But that's actually where the extra pounds come in. And
Mm-hmm.
so, when I'm having conversations with people who are looking to lose weight and get into better shape and everything like that, when you do the assessment, that's where you see, well, did you eat anything after? Oh, I just had a glass of wine, or I just had, a non-alcoholic beverage, or I just had a snack. Those type of calories, which really are empty calories, which means that they don't provide substantial caloric intake in order for your body to function properly. They're just added weight, basically, right? They're like, oh, well, I just, I watch my favorite show, but I have to have my snack with it. And I'm like, no. I'm like, no, you don't get to have that fast. So usually what I tell people is brush your teeth right after you eat dinner, right? Even after each meal, it's good hygiene to brush your teeth, so that way the food doesn't stay within your mouth and decay there. But also, just as a healthy eating habit in general, after you eat dinner, go ahead and brush your teeth, and floss and mouthwash, the whole routine. So that way it will be less of a temptation to have that after dinner snack, right? So moving on, going to the last 2. If you're snacking during the day, treat the snack kind of like a mini meal, right? So we talked about having maybe 5 to 6 meals per day. If you're looking at having a snack as one of those quote unquote meals, consider it as a mini meal. And so when you're looking at the snack options, make sure that you're having snacks that have complex carbohydrates versus simple carbohydrates. So I do want to pause just a little bit to explore what that means, right? Because when people come to me and have a conversation, they're like, oh, I don't eat carbs. I'm on a no-carb diet. And I'm like, okay, well, tell me, what you're eating. And they're like, oh, I love vegetables. And I'm like, okay, well, wait a minute. Vegetables are carbs. Well, no, they're not. I'm like, they are. They're carbohydrates. They're complex. They're complex carbohydrates. They're like, but I don't eat sweets. I said, well, sweets are simple carbohydrates. So the difference on a fundamental level of what complex means versus simple is that complex is complex, right? It takes more steps than the simple steps. So if you're looking at complex carbohydrates, which are mostly fruits, some of them are vegetables, mostly vegetables, some of them are fruits, that's the correction, is it takes a longer time to break down that particular item of food, which is making your body work harder which is good because then your metabolism is now heightened over a longer period of time, meaning after you've already eaten this meal of complex carbohydrates, your body is still working even for you, even after the meal is done and gone and you've moved on to the next thing. Versus simple carbohydrates like some more sugary fruit or even the empty calories that we talked about. It's literally one or two steps. It's one and done. And then most of the extra calories that are not used, that are not being burned, is stored as fat. And so when I talk to people about what that difference looks like, they're like, oh, okay. I'm like, dude, you want to be, even when you're working out, you want to be engaging in activities that are going to work for you, not against you. So even doing like resistance training for most genetic makeups, you're going to be burning calories even after your workout, hours after your workout, versus doing something like that's more speed and agility. Literally, you're firing fast twitch muscles that are used just in that moment, and then you're one and done. You're not burning calories after that exercise. You're done. Versus the resistance, it's like you put in that time, you put in the work, but your body's still working even after the exercise has been completed, 3 hours prior. So it's the same concept with the food, right? You want to eat more complex carbohydrates, especially if you're snacking. Do the complex carbohydrates rather than just having like a quick candy bar and that's just simple sugars. And the last thing is, this can be arguable, right? Depending on what professional you're talking to. But like I said, I'm just kind of traditional, especially when people are starting out trying to eat healthy. They don't need all these extra rules and all this stuff. That's what ends up discouraging the process. But the last one is start your day with breakfast. Usually people say, wake up, or usually professionals say, wake up, within 30 minutes, go ahead and eat something that's nutritionally dense. Now, you do have this concept of intermittent fasting, which I won't get into it with this segment just because it gets a little bit more complex in knowledge. But the basic understanding of eating breakfast as a nutritional component to jumpstart your day is you're breaking your fast, right? That is breakfast. You're breaking your fast. And the fast is throughout the night, your body has been able to heal, regenerate, gain the nutrients that it needs, start the excretion process. So you should be able to wake up and, excrete whatever waste products that are have been waiting to leave your body. But that gives you an opportunity when breakfast comes around to be one of the most important meals of the day. It jumpstarts your metabolism and gives you energy for the rest of the day, especially if you were continuing to eat those small meals throughout, your day, whether it's mini meals or whether it's, a little bit bigger. You're still having that consistent timeline of having some type of nutritional base components coming into your body investing. So those are the 10 habits that I would be able to suggest for those that are starting to want to eat healthy for weight management, especially weight loss.
Exactly. And I subscribe to this rule, 12 on, 12 off. So I don't eat past 7 o'clock if possible. 7,
Okay.
like 7 to 7, like between 7 and 7, you don't eat. Just
Okay.
drink water, that's what I tell people. 12 on, 12 off.
And you know what, JR? The water component is brilliant. Brilliant. A lot of us are dehydrated and we think that we're hungry. So we're like, oh, let me grab some food, when really we need to grab a bottle of water. So I'm so glad that you mentioned that, especially within this segment, is to drink the water. Use that as an indicator of, am I really hungry or am I actually dehydrated?
And I look at this, 2 bottles of water can kind of make you feel like you're full. If you drink the 17-ounce ones, they can make you feel like you're full, and they'll kill that urge to eat or whatever you have going on. So it's a little tip I have for the people out there in the health of this world. I always feel like her, but I have a little something from playing ball and a little bit of tricks here and there from playing football. So, know, a little something about the health and wellness game to a degree.
I receive it 100%, especially with the water intake. So yeah, we're good. I completely support that. Absolutely.
No doubt. Well, folks, with no segment coming up for you here after the break, so stick and stay with us. Dr. Vernette, Bossman. We coming back here after the break. Chill out.
Fantasy football season is fast approaching, and if you're looking for an edge this season, you need to contact the guys at Draft Day Consultants. The concept is a simple one. Draft Day Consultants takes your requests and connects you with one of their trusted analysts, who then guide you through your draft. Whether you just need a sounding board on decisions, or if you need them to conduct your entire draft, Draft Day Consultants has you covered. Every one of their consultants has a proven track record of success and have conducted hundreds, even thousands of mock drafts. Thanks to this year-round research and analysis, the guys at DDC have an unmatched understanding of player values. So gain an edge on your league mates this season by hitting up draftdayconsultants.com. That's www.draftdayconsultants.com. Now get after it, fantasy footballers.
All right, folks, back here on the Jared the Boss Man Show. Dr. Vernette here with me for a whole hour here. About to delve into the world of sports psychology. This is a field I've talked to you guys about over the years, about the mindset of a player and how players think. And we're going to let the doctor talk about it from a doctor's perspective. And I'll jump in with a little bit here and there as she breaks it down for you. So, Dr. V, it's on you. What you going to do?
Hey, so we're going to talk about sports psychology, and we're really just going to breeze over what sports psychology is, and then also just some different things that you can do to enhance your performance in whatever sport that you're in, whether it's recreational, professional, semi-professional, right? So the first question is, what is sports psychology? So I was talking to JR through the break, and we were kind of talking about how his coaches trained him when he was actively playing and, you know, the difference in how I was trained. And so the idea really behind sports psychology, right, is this kind of psychological knowledge and skill that addresses an optimal performance and well-being of athletes and how they develop socially, how they develop in the participation of sports, and really allowing the athlete to understand that there is a connection between your mind and your body. So we're looking at exploring what can you do on a psychological level that integrates other aspects like physiology, kinesiology, and the biomechanics of the body, merging all of that together to really promote a peak in your performance. Okay, so it's really kind of as simple as that. But different professionals use it in different ways in different arenas. So like I said, we're going to talk about kind of the basics of that and what you can be doing on a recreational level, but then also semi-pro level. So my question to you, JR, is, one, what sports did you play? And then the second part of that question is, how do you feel your coaches trained you?
Well, collegiately, I played football and basketball.
Okay.
I ended up taking football to another level. See, for me, it's weird and different because
Okay.
I don't need a coach to kind of give me an uplift or motivate me, or you try to, psych me into doing something. Pretty much, I'm a competitor. I want to win. That's all I needed to do was to get ready for a game. I mean, I knew my matchup. I knew I was going to be talking junk. Two of us going against me. That's all I needed. I'm a very much a self-starter. Um, I know the game plan we have, and sometimes the game plan we have sucked. I'm gonna do my thing no matter what, you know. And I'm about winning. I'm ultra competitive. I'm urban. That's why I work so hard at this radio show. Work so
Mhm.
hard at my businesses and attacking things that I do outside of the radio show because I want to win. I have a desire to be the best, and my mindset is that one of determination, discipline, and dedication. Those are my 3 Ds. So
Right.
in doing that, I don't need someone to kind of manipulate my mind to get me to a place to excel at my highest level. I would do that on my own. Some of my teammates, they need those motivational speeches. Those would be the wrong way, to be honest with you. I don't want to hear
Right.
this crap, because I don't need it. Like trying to use these analogies to hype people up. Man, look, if somebody wants to play, they want to play. But some guys need that. Now, for me, I tune that crap out because that's not what I need to play. Just put on my jersey, put on my pads, put on my helmet,
Mhm.
going on that field, catching their football, seeing another team out there warming up. That's all I ever needed. I never needed nothing else but that to get me ready to play a game of football, a game I love, a game of basketball. I also played bowling and tennis in high school.
Mhm.
You need to get me. You need to motivate me to go out there and bowl a great game or hit good serves and play tennis. So it's like nothing was ever needed to motivate me to do nothing better. All I needed was the X's and O's from you. And generally speaking,
Right.
but just by me knowing about the game, watching film, playing it for a long time since I was a little kid, I didn't really need the X's and O's to a degree because I kind of knew what to do anyway when I watched film. My father was a coach, so I
Okay.
had it from my daddy
That makes
already,
sense.
start the strategy
Okay.
and stuff. So for me, it came natural, and I didn't need like a boost or an uplift to do something. I also want to do it because I love the game and I'm a competitor. I want to win.
So it sounds like you were exposed already to a coach mentality because your father was a coach, and so a lot of times when we talk to athletes or even those looking to um, accomplish a goal that's fitness or health related, they may be missing the component of that positive psychology, the sports psychology that you were already exposed to, especially with having your dad already placing you in that type of arena. And then also just maybe innately or being born with that natural dedication, motivation, confidence to be able to be the best player that you could be individually, but then also collectively with a team, right?
Right.
So for me, I was involved in competitive dance, right? So dance teams where we would go to competitions, whether they were local or national, that type of thing. I never was really actively involved in any other sport, I guess you would say, and it's still controversial whether dance is a sport. That's not really the platform that we're talking about, but it did bring about some challenges for me as an athlete because, of the motivation and the confidence within myself, right? So I am not built as a competitive person. Ideally, I want everyone to win. Everyone gets medals. I am built to be that person. Although if I do have to be in that competitive spirit, then, I put the game face on and then I try to act accordingly. But I do find it interesting that, when you have whether youth athletes or you have professional athletes or even recreational athletes, right? You're on a intramural team and you're playing a sport, right? You get so involved in the game. Even the fans get involved in the game. But if we're talking about the athletic performance and how to improve that, the concept behind sports psychology is pretty brilliant because you're looking at different techniques. I think this came out a little bit later on in the sport, but you're looking at different techniques to be able to expand with the athlete's intellect, right? So what I want to dive into on the second part of our segment is how can you improve your mental training, right? So it's not just I'm weightlifting, I'm working on speed and agility exercises, I'm working on endurance, I'm working on eating habits and, the practice schedule, all the basics of what a sport provides, regardless of whichever one that you're engaged in, but also looking at the component of how your brain relates or interacts or changes or improves the performance, the actual sport performance. But in my experience, what I want to share with you is that as a dancer and even a mom that has 2 kids, both of my children are pretty competitive in their own way. And so I find that when they're not on the winning side, right, their team has not won the game. My son currently plays basketball, and my daughter really is more so into cheer, dance, and gymnastics, but she'll get into competitive gymnastics as she gets older. When those situations arise, when you've lost the game, or you, like you said, you're talking smack to your opponent, right?
Mm-hmm. All the time.
All the time. Some people aren't built that way to receive that, right? They allow the psyche to be distracted in the game. And so that presents with hurdles and obstacles and actually performing at your best level, right? So the talent is there. There's no question there, right? So let's just pretend that the talent is there. Great athlete, performs optimally, is, right on track for accomplishing whatever competition that they're in or whatever game or whatever the next level is, right? Physically, they're good, right? But psychologically, you have these hurdles of, okay, but I didn't win this game, or even if you have a star athlete that all of their pressure is on them, even playing recreationally or even weight training, right? If you've got bodybuilders, you've got, people who are able to weightlift and they want to go through with the competition, okay, their psyche may create some hurdles for them accomplishing their goals. So that's kind of a little bit what I wanted to dive into. So for the sports psychology aspect of it, I like to look at just a couple different components of what positive imaging is, power words, focusing, having goals, body scanning, right? Like I said, we'll talk about this all after the break. The focused attention and what the celebration looks like. All of these different components come into play, even on a microscopic level, that can enhance someone's performance, whether you're looking at performance in speed, performance in agility, performance in keeping your mind in the game and not being distracted by talking smack or having the other opponent talking smack, or even being intimidated by the competition that you see. Because I think you had mentioned when you play football, you would assess the other team, and getting prepared and, how you were going to play for the day. So all of those components come into alignment when you're looking at how to improve that person's performance by exploring sports psychology. So do you have any feedback for me before we take a break and then dive into the training tips?
I'm just thinking about this media basketball game I got coming up this weekend. I'm going to show up and destroy these people. So kind of got in my head. So, yes, your boy be out here in California, NBA Finals, got a media basketball game. I'm going to show up and destroy these jabronis and embarrass them up and down the court, because that's what I do. I come to win. I don't come to play people. That's what I do. And our radio competition knows that too. Our detractors know that I don't care. It doesn't matter what you think. We're coming to win and beat you every week, every second on the Bossman Show. And if you don't know, now you know. So, with that being said, folks, we're going to take one more break. Dr. Vernette's coming back for one more segment. Sports Psychology Part 2, Dr. Vernette, the Boss Man. So you can stay with us. We're coming back at you. One more segment.
Yo. It's just one of them jams you want to just lay back and just kick it, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, you don't hear me though.
It's your man JC, the host with the most, baby, and it goes down each and every Saturday night right here in the city of Memphis. That's right, y'all. It goes down at Clicks Sports Bar Memphis, baby. 3705 Malco Way, Memphis, Tennessee 38125. Come out and join us, the Three Kings, each and every Saturday night for the livest karaoke in the city. Everybody gets in free till 10 p.m. Only $5 after. Great food. We got drink specials. We got all kind of games, man. We got the pool tables popping. Whatever you want, we got you, man. Come on out. Have a good time with us each and every Saturday night. That's Clicks Sports Bar, Memphis.
Folks, Jared the Bossman here with Dr. Vernette. One more segment of hours flown by. We got one more for you on sports psychology. So I'm going to break it down for you from the doctor's perspective. So here you go, Dr. Vernette. It's on you. Talk to the people out here on our great Bossman Radio Network here.
Hey, thanks for the welcome back. So on the first part of the sports psychology mental training, we talked about just JR and myself and our experience as well as my kids' experience with just the involvement that we have or have had in the sports arena and then how we kind of carry that into how we perform, right? So different types of people, whether they're recreational or semi-pro or professional, the concept behind the sports psychology is really looking at the psychological component and merging that with the physiological component, the kinesiology, how you move, but then also the biomechanics, you know, how your joints are moving in relation to the sport. So merging that all together and looking at how your brain basically becomes more involved in how your body moves, okay? So this part of the segment, I really like to look into the different techniques really that you can utilize on any level. Like I said, I want to keep it as basic as possible. If y'all want to talk a little bit more about it, then you can reach out to me via email and we can have an offline discussion about it. So I want to start with positive images, right? So positive images is what? It's having mental images throughout your workout or your training that provides feelings of speed and power. So like if a person is training by running, right? So they're trying to improve their speed or their running technique or their endurance technique. Visualize what that looks like to be able to draw yourself to the finish line or whatever that point of the stopping point is, whether it's, you know, you're running long distance or you're timing yourself. Visualize what that looks like, and you can do that by visualizing a magnet pulling you closer to your end point, right? The other part of that is using power words, right? So what are power words? Power words are making positive statements on an ongoing basis. A lot of times we get caught into this negative thinking that's super common in any arena, right? In everyday life where we're living in such a negative society, but because we're talking about sports-specific topics, the negative thinking is very common, what I find in the recreational and sports arena. And so if you're constantly making positive and powerful statements, you're allowing yourself to think more positively, right? You're becoming more aware of these thoughts very early on before you're actively in whatever sport that you're doing, right? So if you're training, and you're training in a way where it's positive and you're using the words that I can do this and I will do this, then you're going to start to believe and perform in that manner, right? That just kind of, it makes sense. If you're training in a way that's healthy for you and that's positive for you, then the results are going to come out more healthy and more positive. And that also prevents injury as well, which is huge for longevity in the sport that you're involved in, right? Be present and focused, right? So if you're practice being present in the moment. We've talked about that on so many different topics, didn't we, JR, already?
We have.
And so when we're looking at being present in that moment, that is part of focusing. So for
I must admit to you,
example,
Dr. V, I was a bad
okay,
practice player because I didn't care about practice. I just cared about the games. I must admit that. Now, on my own, I was focused, but in actual practice, I wasn't.
So why do you think that is? I'm just curious. There's no judgment, but I'm just curious. Why did you feel like practice wasn't as important as like the actual game?
Because I didn't want to get hurt in practice by going full force in practice. Because I've seen too many guys get hurt in practice. And
okay.
Why am I going to get hurt going against my own teammate? I know we're simulating what we're doing, but I cannot commit to go full speed in practice.
Okay. I can understand that.
I rather get the mental reps than get the actual physical reps.
Got you. So it's like if you made a mistake in a play, or if something didn't play out the right way, whether it was your responsibility or your teammate's responsibility, it was more so, okay, how can I mentally correct this so that way when we're actually quote unquote on, or we're playing the game, or involved in the competition, that I remember that, which will then translate into my body. So when I am going full force, then I'm able to make sure that my performance is enhanced because of basically the mental training that I put into the practice.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
Okay. I get what you put now. Okay. So in that perspective, practice being present in the moment, we can probably steer it more in a way where instead of the athlete thinking about other things that are going on within their life that does not serve them in that moment of being a better participant, whether on the team or in the individual sport, then that could be more so of the concept of being present and focused in the moment. And so that will allow the athlete to be able to perform better while they're asked to be on, right, or active during the sport. And so that also will create less injury as well. So the next thing is the advantage. What advantage do you carry over the next opponent, right? So thinking about how you can provide yourself the natural born or even trained talent that you have that highlights you as a player or as an athlete, right? So you're looking at how can I use my talent to my advantage, whether it's the individual sport or working with a team. The other thing is the body scan, right? So body scan, just like other things that we've talked about, can be used in different conversations. But for this one specifically, paying close attention to where you're holding tension, right? Where are there other areas that are kind of on a microscopic level becoming distractions that could end up being injuries, right? So if you're holding tension in your upper body while you're using your lower body, or you're holding tension in your face, or you're holding tension in your lower body when you're trying to use your upper body, right? Paying close attention to your tension levels and your training in your training form will help you while you're working out, while you're exercising, while you're training, to allow you to be able to relax the tight muscles, so that way those tight muscles are not being overworked, right? So if you're looking on a musculoskeletal level, your muscles and your skeleton, right? Your musculoskeletal
Hey, I love when you
level.
say that. That sounds like our trainer. The musculoskeletal areas of the players' bodies are the ones we're careful with the most. I remember that from our trainers.
Yes. So a lot of times people hold tension in their shoulders and their necks. And I mean, that's just in the real world in general, because we're like stressed out all the time. But when you're looking at playing the sport, you don't want to be tense and you don't want to lock up in your muscles in one place when you're trying to provide energy somewhere else, because really, realistically, you're utilizing energy to create that tension, right? And you want to be able to be as strategic as possible while you're training, so that way while you're at play, you can perform better, okay? So going back to the body scan, when you're setting up positions, so, in football, when you guys are setting up for your play, or, somebody is a cross-country athlete, when you're training in these areas, you want to make sure that you're present with your body. Where are you holding unnecessary energy that could provide injury in the long run? And so that's a huge one that I like to explore with different people, whether they're in the sports arena or whether they're in the general population. Another one is detach yourself from the outcome, right? So yes, we want to win. Everybody wants to win, except me. I want everybody else to win. I mean, I want to win.
I don't know
too,
why.
right?
You want to win everything.
We just want to win everything. But if you're able to psychologically detach from the outcome and only look at what you need in the now, like what's your pace, how's your breathing, how's your concentration, when the time comes, the outcome will present itself, right? So ideally, when we're in training, coaches are coaching us and training us. It's all about the win. It's all about the win. It's all about, yes, I can understand that because of the benefits that come with it. And then even, on the psychological level, you're looking at, being a winner. I am a winner. But if you're able to slightly detach yourself from whatever the outcome is, you can be present with how you're training, right? So that goes back to body scan. Are you holding tension in places? Are you breathing properly? Are you actually concentrating? When you're able to get to that space where you're focused in that moment on what you're supposed to be doing, the idea behind detaching yourself from the outcome is not worrying about the future, being present in the present moment, right? Because when you get there and the competition is happening or the game is happening, you're thinking about all these different things, right? You're hitting these plays, you're changing up the plays, you're changing up your body position, you're talking smack to your opponent. There's so many different dynamics coming up. You're making sure that you're not injuring yourself. And what if, a player steps on your finger or steps on your toe or runs into you a little bit harder than what you've expected?
Worst thing ever.
Whatever, right? Which I can only imagine because I've never experienced that. You still want to be present in that moment. Okay, now I need to address how do I need to change my body position, right? Not being so focused on, okay, I just want to win, but being focused on how am I setting myself up to win, right? To win is the outcome. So hopefully I was able to explain that appropriately. But I love those different mental techniques. That's really what sports psychology is about. And like I said, you can use that in the recreational world, semi-pro world, and also the semi-professional world. So that's what I have for you today.
And Dr. V, I've already decided you're going to go with me to a Falcon preseason game. I'm going to teach you about football. So I'm going to let you learn from me from watching the game with me. I made up my mind already. I know you probably, how can you do that? I just did. You're going with me to a Falcon preseason game to learn.
That's born motivation that you have, that born motivation.
You're gonna get a free lesson football 101 from me watching a professional game, breaking it all down for make you like, wow, how did you see that? But I did.
Well, I look forward to that. So a 101 training session of how football is played out and everything that goes into it. So I'll be ready when that happens.
One thing I did promise you, I will show you about sports. I did promise you that we first met.
You did say that. You sure did.
Yes, the lessons football lessons started in August.
All right. Well, we got some time to prepare.
Yes, indeed. Hey, you have a great weekend. We'll talk to you next week, okay?
Okay, we'll do. Take care of yourself.
This is Dr. Vernette, people. We're out. Hope you enjoy this hour. We'll be back next week.